Welcome to episode 2 of Conversations with Chris. I'm Chris Gaddy. I'm very excited to be joined by Donald Thomas, who was the guard on the New England Patriot Super Bowl team in 2012. Prior to that, Thomas played for the Miami Dolphins, the Detroit Lions, and rounded out his career as an Indianapolis Colt. Thomas has gone on to success in entrepreneurship and is now a wealth manager helping other athletes create financial security.
Donald, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, man. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So let's get this thing going. So to start off, I just want to ask you, as someone in light of what's happened in the NFL recently with the Super Bowl, obviously, on the horizon, I just want to know what's it like, being among the elite few who have been in that environment as a player. What is it like for you? What is it like for you to see other people, go through this as well? And what do you think is currently going through their heads as they prepare for this once in a lifetime game?
Well, I mean, it's the biggest game you're gonna play, right? It's what every kid dreams of when they're playing in their backyard, and it's fourth and goal with no time on the clock. And for the Super Bowl win, you gotta throw this touchdown pass. You gotta stop the offense if you're on defense. It's all of that. You don't forget that, and you realize that that's what you worked your butt off for your whole career to get to that point. And it's just really something that's unique. It was something that I didn't take for granted. I was glad that I was a part of it. It was probably one of the greatest times of my life.
Honestly, yeah, but being in the locker room with those guys is a whole different experience than just being, outside person just looking in. Obviously seeing Stafford all those years, like you said, shackled in Detroit, and him being able to, I guess you could say, revitalize his career in a sense in LA, and with LA having that kind of common theme of revitalization of careers with OBJ, that storyline as well coming from the Browns. It's honestly just making for a really good 30 for 30 if they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for real, man. It's gonna make a great one. Seriously.
Yeah, for real. So it'll definitely be an interesting game, seeing how both teams handle the pressure, and how just Stafford is able to overcome all the obstacles that he's had to go through in his career, and now he's given the opportunity and seeing what he does with this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, hats off to him. I'm glad that Detroit was willing to let him go. I'm glad that, it was a good opportunity. It presented itself. I was actually shocked by that trade, man. I think that really boded well for his career. It's deserving. So I'm just happy for him, and I'm just glad I'm going to be out there to see it.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that trade was definitely, one that kind of sent shockwaves throughout the NFL.
Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of other quarterbacks you played with, you obviously spent time in the New England Patriots, and as like we said, you got to a Super Bowl with them. And in recent news, Tom Brady, the GOAT, has retired after 20 plus years in the NFL. So as he retired?
He retired?
You want to see all that?
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we don't know for real at this point. We're trying.
I think
we're still trying to get our sources right. But yeah, so as of now, he has retired.
Right.
So I was just wondering, as someone who actually got to share the field with him, on his side of the ball, how would what are your thoughts, about his retirement and just him as a teammate, and how, what was that like?
I will say, to be able to have played with Tom Brady, to be able to have actually shared the huddle with Tom Brady, to have been able to see him every single day for 2 seasons straight operate, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, was probably one of the best experiences that I've ever had, and stories that I can share for days. But I'm honored to be able to have played with him. We all knew, and he was the GOAT when I first walked in that locker room, before I walked in the locker room, in my opinion. But to be able to have played with him is something that's very impressive, for my career. And I've got game footage with him. I got pictures with him. I protected him for 2 seasons, and it was an honor to watch greatness up close like that. I've never seen it before, and I think it'll be a long time before someone can catch those numbers, those championship rings for a while. But I mean, I am honored to have played with him. I just think that it worked out perfectly timing wise when I went to New England. It was the greatest, 2 seasons when I was up there of football. Everyone asked me, what's your favorite team? What was like who did you like playing for the best and the most, excuse me. And I always told them, I said New England. Why? Because for one, I played with the greatest player of all time, in my opinion, and I don't think it's opinion. I think it's fact. I'll argue with anybody on that. But at the same time, we won games. It was a great culture up there, a great tradition, and I was part of it. And you kind of fall right in line, and they embraced you. And Tom embraced every offensive lineman that he played with, because he knew that if we did our job, he was going to be great, and we had to be great for him. And so it was just a great time to play. It was a great chapter of my life, and I'm just humbled to say I witnessed greatness up close.
Yeah, that sounds like a great experience, honestly, being able to share the huddle with Tom Brady on a daily basis for a couple of years, something that, once again, we all kind of aspire to one day. And you put in the work, time, timeless amounts of work, and just were able to actually achieve those goals, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah. So speaking of retirement and just off the field of football, so you have built a career for yourself off the field, most recently in finance, also managing Rita's Ice, what was it, shop you owned, I believe, right?
Yeah, Rita's Italian Ice.
Yeah, Rita's Italian Ice. Yeah, and I see their stands and stuff all the time. And when I go to a game or something like that, I'm like, hey, wait a second. But so how is that transition of going from playing in the NFL to having to build a life for yourself outside of the NFL? And how were you able to make that as smooth as possible?
Yeah, I mean, so that is probably one of the hardest transitions that athletes have to make, to go from being an athlete to now being a everyday citizen, right? So you have to create a plan. And I think that what I was fortunate enough to do was I kind of had a couple of injuries towards the end of my career that slowed me down to where I was able to, well, I was forced to sit down because I couldn't do anything else. But I started to think about the future and what my next steps were going to be, regardless of if football ended today, tomorrow, or if it ended in the next 5, 6, 7 years. I just need to have a plan.
Now we can see 18-year-olds, in some cases 17-year-olds, who say forego their senior year of high school, go straight to college, are able to build their own brand in college and start, getting these deals to gain some source of income. So what do you think of that whole NIL system as a whole? And do you think that in the long run, it'll be something that's looked back on as positive?
Well, first off, I'm hating because that was not around when we were playing. So I'm a little jealous of that. But no, honestly, just as long as it doesn't get out of hand, I think there needs to be a cap set on it, because you're going to be really young kids, ones that you feel are super talented. You're giving them a lot of money with no guarantee that they're going to make it to the next level past college. Football is a very, very physical sport. It's I've seen guys that had the brightest futures tear ACLs, blow out this, blow out that, and boom, it's all gone, right? So, it's high risk, high reward for companies that are giving these endorsement deals, right? But at the same time, it can't be the Wild Wild West when it comes to that. There needs to be a cap on it. I think it's a great opportunity for these kids to earn some money while they're in college and not be broke college athletes and with really no time to get a job because they just don't have the time. And so they're kind of hindered in that aspect of being able to earn money for themselves. So yes, I like the idea of it. I just think that it's more important now for people like me to be able to help these even younger kids, we're talking about, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds that have more money than, their teachers from high school, right? And they're still in college. And so it's really a good thing, but it can turn bad if it's not regulated.
I'm 16, and it's crazy to think about how these kids who are, like just a couple months older than me are coming away with like hundreds of thousands of dollars signing these deals. And yet I'm just like, oh, wow. And I look it up, and the kid is like 6, 7 months older than me. I'm like, wow, that's just crazy. So
yeah. No, I mean, like it's and you think about it, right? Like before, that wasn't even a reality, right? I knew coming into this thing, you're not gonna see money till your early 20s. Now these kids are seeing money coming out of high school. I was 17 years old when I graduated high school, so I can imagine stepping on campus and saying, "Hey, Donald, here's $100 grand, here's $200,000 to, wear this or tweet that or post this, wear our stuff, blah blah blah." Like like it's crazy. Like now you have a 17, 18-year-old kid that probably maybe came from not the best background, and you're giving them a ton of money, and you can lose an athlete like that because they don't see the future, and they're looking like, I got money now, so they don't work as hard, right? They don't prepare. They don't prepare as well as they would have if they were hungrier. They don't they don't take the game as serious, right? They don't take education as serious because they're like, I got money now, I don't need to go to class, whatever. So it's just a fine line of how you want to look at it. But I it's from personal experience. I know how money can make people complacent. I know how money can make people lose themselves. I know how money can make people just take things for granted, right? And in football, I'm just speaking for football in general, you can't take the game for granted. It can be snatched from you like this, and before you know it, you're on the outside looking in, and you're that woulda, shoulda, coulda guy, and I did X, Y, and Z in high school, and nobody wants to hear that because you squandered your opportunity away, right? Because you were given something too soon. And so it just needs to be regulated. It just needs to be regulated. I'm happy athletes are getting paid, but at the same time, it concerns me to the point where I just hope that it doesn't backfire and some people miss out on opportunities.
I just have one last question for you. Super Bowl prediction. What you got?
Listen, like I said before, I've got LA. Do you want to hear me go bold?
Sure, let's hear it. Yeah.
Oh, you ready? I've got
the
Rams by 2 scores.
Okay.
And I'm standing on it. Here's the deal, right? I just think that it's time. I think that it's Stafford's time. It's Stafford's turn. Everyone's like Joe Burrow. It's not Joe Burrow's turn. And if Joe Burrow wins this football game, hats off, kudos to him. You have the storied story, right? You come in, Heisman, Terry ACL rookie year, fight back, rehab, boom, go to Super Bowl next year, win it. But how long can you be good?
Yeah.
There's so much pressure on you now. If you win the Super Bowl, can you really live up to that? Stafford, on the other hand, was in the slums of the NFL for 12 years, right? And he still was a productive quarterback. He still had decent numbers. There's no one that can sit here and tell me that anybody, I've never heard a player when I played, I've never heard anyone really say, "Oh, Stafford sucks."
Yeah.
When I had outside friends that were in Detroit, there were Lions fans that never said a bad thing about Stafford. He just was in Detroit. He had the Detroit shackles on. He couldn't break free. And so for that reason, I want to see him succeed. I think that overall, the Rams have the better defense. They have the better D-line for sure. I'm happy for Von Miller. I think he's deserving of it from the career that he's had, and as he's gotten older, had his injuries and kind of declined, and this, getting traded and going to this situation. I'm happy for OBJ as much as people call him a distraction. I just feel like, no matter what, when it's God's plan for things, everything happens for a reason.
Okay. Wow. I like that prediction, real in-depth analysis about the LA Rams. It's really, and also that team, their offense is looking a lot better than people expected with the emergence of Cooper Kupp. All of a sudden, just lighting it up. I mean, he's breaking records left and right. It seems like every time he's touching the field this season, he's breaking records. And then a lot of that, contribute to the arrival of Matthew Stafford and him being kind of unleashed in Detroit with the Sean McVay's system. And in my opinion, Sean McVay is an offensive genius. I love him as a coach. And I really think that, it was just a match made in heaven between Stafford and McVay. So I can't disagree with your take. I'm not gonna go too far into my take
you're good.
Predictions, but yeah. So yeah. Once again, this is Conversations with Chris, and this was our guest, Donald Thomas, former NFL player, big cuz, you already know. So
Fan business.
Exactly, fan business. So I would just like to say thank you for joining me today, and peace out, everybody.
Peace.